Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We're going to go ahead and get started with our final panel of the day and of the show. The topic here is sustainable and inclusive trade in apparel, home decor, and the handcraft sectors. I'd like to introduce the Trade Commissioner from the Embassy of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam in Canada, returning to the stage here, and an old friend of the ATS crew. Huang Du Thi, welcome. Also joining us is Marcia Mendez, the Economic Counselor for the Embassy of Guatemala, and Miguel Haley, Founder and Executive Director of the Center for Accelerated Women's Economic Empowerment, or CAWEE. And then, of course, another longtime friend who's been with us from the beginning and the inception of ATS, way back in 2016, ATSC Canada, Steve Tittman, Executive Director, TFO Canada. So I'd like to remind everybody that we do have a chat function and a Q&A function here on Zoom. If you have any questions for our panelists, please include them there, and we will address those at the end of the panel. Also to our Facebook Live viewers, go ahead and include any questions you might have or comments in there, and they'll be fed to me at the very end as well. So without further ado, Steve, the floor is yours. Good to see you again.
Thanks so much, Jason, and thanks once again for the kind invitation to participate in this year's event. Maybe I'll start with just a little bit about Trade Facilitation Office Canada, otherwise known as TFO Canada. So we are a Canadian nonprofit organization that's been in operation since 1980. And our purpose is really to improve lives through the creation of sustainable trade partnerships for exporters from developing countries with Canadian and foreign buyers. And so we work with many countries around the world, developing emerging economies, very focused on helping micro, small, medium enterprises. We work very carefully with trade support institutions or business support organizations in many countries in Latin America, the Caribbean, Africa, Middle East, and Asia. And the way we do our work is really through these partnerships. And so my esteemed colleagues that are part of this panel are great examples of the partnerships that we have in Guatemala, Vietnam, and Ethiopia, where we're able to provide technical support in the areas of market research, capacity building, training programs, and market access initiatives such as importer-exporter trade missions and trade shows, including virtual trade shows. And so when I think about the last 18 months of living through COVID-19 pandemic, it's really not an exaggeration to say that it's been one of the most challenging times that humanity has ever experienced or seen. COVID-19 has led to an unparalleled health crisis around the world, and the economic ramifications of the pandemic quickly became apparent. And SMEs, so small medium enterprise, have been greatly affected due to various decisions to essentially close borders, shut down, and restrict movements in an attempt to try to control the spread of the virus. Companies that traditionally are female-led or employ more women have been very adversely affected, since the areas of the economy that have been seeing the most disruptions really include traditional retail, travel, hospitality, tourism, and of course, the sectors that we're going to be talking about today, the apparel, home decor, and handicraft sectors. Not to mention the fact that women are often the primary caregivers, caretakers at home. Many experts have actually dubbed this reality of the pandemic as being it's the first female recession. The term actually that's used often is it's actually being dubbed a she-cession. So despite all of these challenges, as was stated actually at the very start of the opening of the Apparel Textile Sourcing Show, Jason Prescott in his opening remarks on Tuesday morning talked about how trade needs to continue and trade matters. And I would echo exactly that trade is such an important driver of economic growth because it really does lead to job creation. And so, this is kind of, the reason why virtual events such as this one are so critically important. And certainly what our panelists have to share will be very equally important. So As I mentioned, I'm joined by an international panel of esteemed colleagues, and we've really had the pleasure of working in partnership with our colleagues towards our collective goal of, you know, having really a sustainable model and helping the apparel, home decor, and handicraft sectors in their respective countries. And of course, next week in Canada is actually Gender Equality Week. And so I feel very fortunate to be with such, you know, such great and powerful women on this panel joining us today. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first panelist, who is actually joining us today from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. And Nigest Haley is the founder and executive director of the Center for Accelerated Women's Economic Empowerment in Ethiopia. Nigest is an activist in the promotion of women entrepreneurs with particular focus to women exporters. She has 23 years of experience working in the Ethiopian Ministry of Trade and Industry at different capacities. And in 2004, she founded the CAWI, which is the Center for Accelerated Women's Economic Empowerment, a pioneer trade promotion organization working in the country, providing promotional and capacity building support service targeting women exporters. Nigest, the screen is yours.
Thank you very much, Steve. I would like to thank the organizers in giving us an opportunity. Thank you all. As Steve has been briefly introducing my organization, the Center for Accelerated Women's Economic Empowerment. It was established out of need in 2004, where in a situation where there was no organization supporting women in small and medium enterprises, particularly focusing export, as most of the government and donor focused activities were mainly focusing on micro enterprises and informal businesses, as there was nothing wrong focusing on that, but this was an area which was not given focus. So that was why I was saying this was the CAWI was established out of need. We have it's a membership organization, a non-profit, and all our members are women in export. We focus in 6 major sectors. One of it is agribusiness, where our famous Ethiopian coffee is #1, where we have women farmers exporting green roasted and ground coffee. We also have honey food that includes gluten-free products and enriched foods. We also have spices, horticulture, milk and milk products, and flowers. With the focus to this panel, one of our sectors is textiles, garment and hand weaving. Mainly our hand-woven products targeting high-end buyers, focusing on home and fashion accessories. We also have leather, again, fashion accessories, focusing on bags, belts, wallets, etc., and again, leather garment. We have the other sector, gemstones and jewelry, where mainly we focus in adding value and benefit from that. And we have the 5th sector, the furniture manufacturing, which in most cases we are importing furniture, but now we are trying to work on import substitution, but again, focus on export. And the last one, services, focusing on tourism, beauty, spa training, architectural engineering facilities and all. Among the different services that we are providing to our members, the main ones include trainings in international trade, like Steve had been mentioning, partnering with TFO Canada. We are working on women in trade projects, particularly with a focus to agribusiness this time, but again, mainly focusing on donor-specific interests. We focus on certain and specific sectors. But I remember quite well on a specific Canadian experience we had starting 2007 on a program called PACT, Program for Building African Capacity for Trade, where that time we had been partnering with TFO Canada. And about 2 years, the program had been taking our women in hand woven product sector, and we were able to take them 2 years through the process of product development, market promotion, and again, ultimately traveling all the way to Montreal International Trade Fair in 2007. where we had the opportunity to meet or women had the opportunity to meet potential buyers. So we do such kind of activities, and we have done more than 20 trade missions to different countries. And currently this year, we're going to do the Durban Trade Show, where I'm sure all of you know, the Intra-Africa Trade Fair, which will happen in mid-November in Durban, South Africa. And again, early next year, we're going to go to the Netherlands, particularly with our women with textiles, garment, and apparel products, particularly with fashion accessories. Currently, 16 of our members are involved with a thematic area focused on this panel, mainly on hand-woven products, mainly exporting to the US and Europe, like Germany, France, and others, and again, in most Asian countries. In preparations to facilitate the intra-African trade, which I'm very proud sharing to the congregation, is the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, which nearly all our African heads of states have signed, and an opportunity for our women and men as well to start trading among ourselves, where we don't have lots of story trading among ourselves. So far, it's 14 to 16%. The majority of our trading goes to the rest of the other continents. I mean, us focusing in this on our intra-Africa trade facilitation will be continental capacity building, where our women can boost up to open up to other markets like the North American, Canadian markets. And we're really happy to share to you, we are in the process of developing our e-commerce platform, where we are trying with this process of facilitating intra-African trade. We are trying, our organization taking a lead role, launching an e-commerce platform very recently. We're in the process of where it's under development. It's called Abyssinia for Intra-African Trade, and with a team of boosting intra-African trade, African women taking the lead. We can leave you the link for as the e-commerce platform is not yet operational, but as coming soon, you can have a chance to see, or Steve can present that. So this is our coming soon e-commerce platform, where we're focusing on women for intra-African trade. And this is the first of its kind happening while the intra-Africa trade, the Continental Free Trade Agreement has started being operational. And this is an initiative which was supported starting last year, October, by the US State Department, with the focus of the AGWA initiative, but again, now supporting us in facilitating intra-African trade. So what we do with this platform will be Ethiopia, Kenya, and Rwanda will be part of this e-commerce platform. And we really encourage buyers, hopefully in a month's time or two, the e-commerce platform will start to be operational, and we'll be happy inviting Canadian potential buyers to buy the beautiful products of women in those three countries, Ethiopia, Kenya, and Rwanda. So coming specifically to trade provisions that we are given to trade with Canada, on the access to duty-free and quota-free provisions, on the provisions of the Market Access Initiative provided to least developed countries, as Ethiopia is one of the beneficiaries. The panel team, again, focusing on apparel and textiles. So we have our products in apparel and textiles, footwear, leather goods, leather apparel, jewelry, fashion accessories that are mentioned in the Market Access Initiative document. So as Ethiopia is now aggressively opening up for international trade, mainly its preparations to the intra-African trade, as I had been mentioning, we believe that our women's capacities, both in quality and quantity, will be enhanced, then opening up to the rest of the other markets where this is going to be our main activity areas of focus. So this is what I can share. Steve, if you want me, I can continue.
No, that's great. I think that's a excellent opening set of remarks. Thank you so much, and we'll try to share the link to the Coming Soon website as well, so our audience can look forward to interacting online as well. So our second panelist hails from Guatemala, but is based here in Canada. Ms. Marcia Mendez is the Trade Counselor of the Embassy of Guatemala in Canada with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Guatemala. She has an international relations degree with a specialization in foreign trade, a master's degree in business administration, and international marketing. With more than 15 years of experience in the field of foreign trade, working in both the private and public sectors for institutions such as the Ministry of Economy of Guatemala, the Guatemalan Exporters Association, otherwise known as Ag Export, and the Guatemalan Trade Offices Abroad, among others. Ms. Mendez, over to you.
Thank you very much, Steve. Good morning to everybody. Thank you for this space. And I will begin to share my presentation if you don't mind. There you go. Oh, sorry. Okay. Do you see my screen?
Yes, we do. We see the important facts.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to start with the apparel and textile sector of Guatemala. This sector represents 1.7% of the national GDP and represents also 180,000 direct and indirect employments. And 46% of this number are women. So this is a very inclusive sector in which contributes a lot of the empowerment of women. The cluster for this sector comprises several subsectors that provide value to manufacturing apparel for export, including spinning, dyeing, weaving, industrial laundry, finishing, socks and hosiery, trimmings, and supplies. The main exporter products of Guatemala, I'm having trouble with this. Okay, there you go. We can see in this chart that the apparel articles in 2020 was up to $1.4 billion US dollars. So it's a pretty important sector in the exports of Guatemala. And in this chart is important because what I want to show here is that in the last 10 years, the exports of apparel and textile has been really stable over the 10 years. And here, the main exporter products of this industry are knit tops for men, women, and children, cotton and synthetic sweaters and pullovers, baby wear, cotton knit dresses, synthetic trousers, pants, and shorts for men, women, and children, cotton and synthetic skirts, underwear, and hosiery. The main export destinations of this sector are to the United States. This is mainly because it's just our neighbor and it's our primary economic partner. The second one is Central America, Mexico, and Canada with a 1-2% of our exports. Even though we don't have a free trade agreement with Canada, we do have a generalized system of preferences, which the apparel and textile sector is included. That's very important. But we do have a free trade agreements with a lot of countries, which can be a benefit in as the moment that we become providers of another country. In Guatemala, competitive advantages are many for this sector. And There are over 380 companies in the sector, which constitute a totally integrated supply chain in the Central American region, allowing the production of value-added apparel. The country specializes in knit production. Guatemala has the most productive labor force in the region. It offers efficient and quality human talent available for the operations area. And like I said before, 46% of the jobs are held by women. It is the country's major exporting sector, acknowledged nationally and internationally for its competitiveness, versatility, and flexibility. Exports are well known for their high added value, considered the highest in the region. Guatemala is the only Central American country with an association that belongs to the Sustainable Apparel Coalition, which supports companies with environmental issues. Also, the country holds the only annual international event to gather the complete supply chain of the textile and apparel industry in the region. We can give you more information about this afterwards if Steve can share with you this information. I would appreciate that. And also the country's geographic location provides rapid access to markets as the United States, one of the most important markets for the sector, and to the Central America, an important supplier for the industry. The production costs in Guatemala in terms of energy are highly competitive. An example of this is that the cost per kilowatt hour is between 10 cents US dollar for industrial users and 16 cents for commercial users. Also, users with electricity demands above 100 kilowatts may register as large user and negotiate their electric power contracts. So this is very attractive for an enterprise that want to consider Guatemala as a partner. The industry has the capability of rapidly adapting to the market by means of the entire package. Producers work to achieve continuous production quality improvement and quickly adapt to new trends. Guatemala produces uniforms for the NFL, MLB, NHL, and US University, and also is a producer for the major retailers and brands in the US. There is a conglomerate of foreign investment companies that has been established and are operating successfully in the country with capital from various countries, among them South Korea, Spain, the United Kingdom, the United States, Mexico, El Salvador, and Honduras. One of our greater value is that we can provide the 4 stages, right? The 4 stages of production. So this full package means a greater value for the buyers. And now I would like to proceed with the Guatemalan home decor and handicraft sector, which is a great job generator. Over 1 million artisans over the country are being demanded in Guatemala, and 80% or this number are women, mostly indigenous. So this is a very important sector for Guatemalan women. And we have 22 departments in Guatemala. Guatemala is divided in 22 departments. And as we can see here, the 22 departments are being considered for the production of this sector. This sector is very diverse because we can work with textiles, ceramics, clay, recycled materials, leather, glass, iron, and others. And we have the implementation of good manufacturing practices, trends, and regulatory compliance in order to access the most demanding international markets. One of these markets that are nowadays our main partnerships are the United States, Mexico, Canada, Central America, United Kingdom, Sweden, Italy, among others. And we also in this sector have an important cluster, which is very important for the buyers. We have artisans and producers that are working together, designers and entrepreneurs, marketeers and exporters, and suppliers. And so this is my presentation for today. I didn't want to go over the time, but which is very
Marcia, you're on mute.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, thank you. Like I said, both of these sectors are very important to us as Guatemalan government because these sectors are very inclusive. We have not only women working for these sectors, but also indigenous, which are the 80% of Guatemalan population. So the inclusiveness of these sectors are highly important, and we are working hard every day in order to promote to bring up the amount of experts of both of these sectors. Also, it's important to say that in the 5 products that we mainly export to Canada, textiles and apparel are one of the 5 most important products that we export to Canada. So that being said, that's it for me, and I appreciate the space. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Marcia. Very, very interesting. So now I'd like to introduce our third panelist, so Ms. Hoang Do, who joined the Ministry of Industry and Trade in Vietnam in 1996. She's worked on the trade policies, multilateral trade negotiations, and various free trade agreements for the country, including at the World Trade Organization, the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, otherwise commonly referred to as the CPTPP. She's also worked on the Vietnam-European Union free trade agreements. Hoang was posted to Sweden in 2003-06 and in Canada from 2017 to 21 for commercial affairs in the Vietnam Embassy. She's actually recently finished her term in Canada and is now back in Vietnam, where she joins us today. Thank you very much. Over to you. The floor is yours.
Yeah, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, Mr. Stephen and TFO colleagues for a great opportunity to join you today to speak at the webinar. So for the apparel, as you know, that Vietnam is one of the top apparel producers and exporters in the world. And apparel is also one of the most vital industries in Vietnam, which creates more than 2.5 million jobs for more than 10,000 entrepreneurs, and among them, a lot of them are small and medium enterprises. And the majority of the job and the workers in the industries are women. So in the middle of the pandemic in 2020, Vietnam was for the first time ranked as the 2nd largest exporter of apparel globally, just behind China. Its total export value for, sorry, I have to share my screen. Sorry about that. Yeah, here we are.
Yeah, we see it. Perfect.
Yeah, thank you. So again, in the middle of the pandemic in 2020, Vietnam was for the first time ranked as the 2nd largest exporter of apparel globally, just behind China. Its total export value for textile apparel was nearly $40 billion, or more than $35 billion in 2019 and 2020 respectively. So made in Vietnam apparel is mainly shipped to the US, which accounts for 45% of the total export value, and to European Union 13%, to Japan 11%, Korea 10%, and China 10%, and Canada less than 3%. So when we're talking about sourcing apparel in Vietnam, what would be the advantages that Vietnam could offer to the importers? So I could say that we have political stability there in Vietnam. We do have a trade liberalization and open economy with 17 free trade agreements for duty-free to leading market like European Union, Japan, Korea, China, Canada. But unfortunately, not for the US, because the US withdrew from the TPP, or Trans-Pacific Partnership membership a few years ago. So for the apparel sector, Vietnam plays important part in the global supply chain. And the workers in Vietnam are skilled workers, and the business communities, they have very good social compliance, flexibilities, and quick response to customers' demands. So between Vietnam and Canada, we are both the member of CPTPP agreement, so we call Comprehensive and Progressive Trans-Pacific Partnership, which was effective from January 2019 for Vietnam. So almost apparel originating in Vietnam are eligible for the duty-free if they can meet the rules of origin requirements, which is normally called Yan Forward rules. So Vietnam is the third largest suppliers of apparel to Canada, behind China and Bangladesh. Thanks to CPTPP agreement and the international trade policy tendency, the market share of Vietnam in Canadian imported apparel has been substantially increased recently in the last 4 years. Now from 9% of the market share in 2018 to 12.5% in the first 7 months of 2021. And recently Vietnam has been working very hard to build up a vertically integrated and environmentally friendly industry of textile apparel. So the second sector that I would like to present today is home decor and handicraft, which I could say is an emerging sector in Vietnam, thanks to abundant natural material availability in the country, good skills of more than 5 million workers and artisans in more than 2.5 thousand handicrafts villages all over the country. This sector is considered to bring about the highest value added to the workers compared with the others, because most of the materials can be sourced locally, and the businesses involved mostly small and medium enterprises and woman-owned and woman-led. And the worker there in the sectors are the minority people in the rural sectors. So this sector brings about more than $2 billion in terms of export value in 2019, and has been substantially grow tendency of 10% annually from 2015 to 2019. Especially the increase in export value for ceramics and porcelain and rattan bamboo categories is as high as 35 to 40% in 2020 and in the first half of 2021. So more than 1/3 of Vietnamese home decor and handicrafts products are shipped to the US. The remaining are mostly exported to the European Union, Japan, and Australia, and the other countries. I can name the main products of Vietnam as ceramic and porcelain, rattan, bamboo, and other vegetable materials, handicraft wooden products, and candle for the giftware. So between Vietnam and Canada, Canada is still a potential market for Vietnam, and Canada imports only about 50 million Canadian dollars of the home decor and handicraft from Vietnam a year, of which 40% is home decor, like a tableware, kitchenware, nylon, and 40% is giftware, mainly candles, and 20% is handicraft in different kinds of baskets. So as a result of CPTPP agreements, almost Vietnam home decor and handicraft products are eligible for duty-free when it is imported into Canada and do not have any kind of difficulty to meet the rules of origins. The industry is now currently focused on product development and product design assistance in order to facilitate the commercialization of the sector internationally and domestically. With the financial support and expertise support from Vietnamese government and various donors, including TFO, Canada, and Canadian government, the Vietnam Handicraft Association has been developing a number of programs to help the industry, such as origin tracing of the products, one product, one village, maybe the tourist tour to handicraft village just in order to consume the products. Those programs could help enhancing small and medium enterprises' ability to comply with the importers' requirement and driving the purchase possibilities as size. So I guess the last question could be how to get contact with the suppliers in Vietnam. We have the Vietnam Trade Office, which is a section of the Vietnam Embassy in Canada, which is based in Ottawa. We do have the Association of Textile and Garment of Vietnam. We have Vietnam Handicraft Association and Handicraft and Good Industry Association of Ho Chi Minh City. And we do have some of trade fair to be taken outside in Vietnam or virtually nowadays because of the pandemic. So for the VFA fair is the furniture and handicraft fair that they have the show, the 3D showroom online that the importers can get access and to have a directory and have a look at the showroom of nearly 100 suppliers of Vietnam. And for the handicraft, we do have a lifestyle Vietnam, the trade fair that might be virtual this year as well. So if you have any kind of interest in Vietnam, please do not hesitate to contact the Vietnam Trade Office in Ottawa or any kind of association in Vietnam in order to reach out to our suppliers. So thank you very much. Hand it over to Steve. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Wong. Very, very interesting presentation. And so I guess we're at the point of the discussion where there's the Q&A session. I don't know, Jason, if there's any questions from the audience so far. If not, I can certainly kick us off with a question.
Let's see here. We have a couple here in the chat. No questions as of now. Kevin, do we have anything in the Facebook room? Looking like no. Nope, nothing in the Facebook chat either, which means you guys are very thorough.
Okay, great. So through your presentations, this may be just a question for all three panelists. You've talked about how you've been able to essentially pivot and offer more online offerings, whether it be virtual trade shows like the Hope Fairs in Vietnam or Nijas, the new e-commerce platform that is being developed in Africa. I'm wondering if you could share maybe for the audience what measures has your country put in place to manage COVID-19 but more specifically for sourcing executives, people that are looking to perhaps source products from your countries. What are some of the things that you can offer in terms of advice on how they can go about either when would you maybe anticipate traveling to the country or even online venues as well. So just trying to get a little bit more details on how interested buyers can make sure that when can they start traveling maybe to the country, but also if there's other options available to them. Maybe we can start with whoever wants to take on that question first.
Can I take the floor?
Yeah.
So for Vietnam now, we actually for the first 3 waves of COVID, the first wave, the second wave, and the third wave, from early 2020 until 2021 May, Vietnam was very in good shape. We had very limited cases and the number of deaths. But unfortunately, recently for the fourth wave with the Delta variant, we are in strict lockdown now, and it have impact on the production capability in Vietnam. But even though the lockdown is in place, the border traveling is restricted, but the buyers and importers are still can be able to travel to Vietnam with some conditions in order to meet in person with the suppliers, and they can have some kind of maybe more relaxed quarantine requirements for the short-term visit, and it's some kind of flexibility that the government would like to invite the buyers to come to Vietnam. And apart from that, different sectors, including the handicraft, home decor and handicraft, and the furniture and handicraft sectors in Vietnam, they are trying to build up the online facility for the buyers to get to know the Vietnamese suppliers, and to create a platform where they can do the B2B meeting virtually. So what I mentioned is the trade fair for the furniture and handicraft, the lifestyle, maybe they can be the virtual 3D trade fair in October. And we hope that it would be a good business platform for the importers to get to know Vietnam. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Marcia or Nijest, any thoughts from Guatemala? Okay, go ahead, Marcia.
Yes, thank you. I just sent you in the chat both of the shows, of the trade shows that we have. One for the apparel sector. This show has been doing it for over 30 years. So it's a well-known show, and that's a way to meet the interest buyers from Guatemala apparel and textile sector. And also I have sent also the web page for the new craft. The exact name of the trade show is New World Crafts Guatemala. And these take place every year also. This year, because of the pandemic, I didn't take place, but we are sure that the next year we are going back to normal, even if it's only virtual, but we are going to have the show. So I already sent you the information, because these are both of the shows, of the trade shows that we have in Guatemala for both of the sectors, in order to meet the buyers that are interested in these sectors in Guatemala. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Marcia. Nijest, did you want to part? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Yes, beyond the negative impact which COVID has brought, affecting our export sector, including this sector we're discussing, we have seen also the positive part of it, where opportunities like virtual, doing business virtually, which our women have never experienced it, but not very all aggressively also. We have never had participated virtual trade shows. So I mean, this had been the positive part, which we really acknowledge. But again, when it comes to COVID, in Ethiopia, to come in as a buyer, as a visitor, we don't have any restrictions, except we need to, anyone traveling should have even to board with our Ethiopian Airlines or to arrive, they need to have the negative paper of COVID. And there is no quarantine so far, so we don't have a problem of that. As I was trying to mention, on the Intra-Africa Trade Fair, we are having a very big gathering in Durban, South Africa, November 15 to 21, where we're having a big delegation to take part physically. So, of course, keeping the physical distance, fulfilling the requirements of COVID, particularly related to South Africa, that will happen. Another access which we are having is the Dubai Expo 2020, which I'm sure most of you know, which will officially launch in October 1st and will stay for 6 months until end of March 2022. We will be having more than 190 countries are taking part, almost the globe. So that's happening physical. So we're going to have CAWE in partnering with the African Union Commission. We're organizing the Women in Business Trade Fair and conference in March, most likely end of March 2022, where that will be open to potential buyers. We can provide detailed information when dates are fixed and concluded, but March has been agreed that we will have a very big physical trade show, which is planned to take place in Dubai in March 2022. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So it sounds like gradually, slowly but surely, we are kind of in a hybrid world where we do some online and virtual activities, and that will likely continue. But we're also looking positively towards having more in-person interactions. So that's certainly great to hear as well. Looking at the time, maybe I can ask just a kind of any if there's a last message that you would like to convey to the audience today, you know, thinking about predictions for the future, or what it is that you would really like to share with the audience. We'd certainly love to hear from you. So why don't we start maybe with Marcia this time?
Thank you, Steve. Well, there are opportunities for this hemisphere. Factors such as nearshoring, where customers want to control more the supply chain and have more visibility and traceability, right? Also, the sustainability factor that begins to play a very large role in consumers' demand. So political problems and social relations with other providers has led us in the focus right now in the picture, again, as an important providers. So that being said, we as region, as Central American region, are becoming really innovative in order to adapt to the market today. And that's a really good opportunity for buyers to see us again. COVID-19 put global chains into perspective and begins to see little by little some type of movement for this region, with the aim of better controlling supply. E-commerce revolutionized consumer trends, right? And although stores open again, online sales will continue. So the quick response and proximity will be great competitivity advantages of Guatemala to meet the purchasing needs. So that's my thought, my final thought.
Great, thanks, Marcia. Huang or Nijest, any final predictions or comments thinking about the future?
I think if we are going to be done with COVID, that will be fine. If not, we're going to continue living with the new normal. So we need to do business, to continue doing business. The good part now using the hybrid, post-hybrid models, doing business virtually on e-commerce platforms, and also coming physically, particularly in our organization, we receive buyers. And now with our close partnership we are having with TFO Canada, I really encourage Canadian potential buyers to come and see what our women are producing and see what, talk to them, negotiate with them, and they are able to deliver. So I really encourage you, and we're very glad receiving potential buyers from Canada, and I encourage you to come in. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Huang?
Yeah, so the pandemic must be over sometime, maybe hopefully next year. And the demand now for the consumer products, including apparel and home decor and handicraft, has been very high now. So we hope that the challenges of production in Vietnam or in other country in the region, Asia Pacific region, will be settled out, and then we can continue as emerging region in supplying apparel and handicraft and home decor for the world. Thank you.
Great, thank you, and you know, maybe just if I can add, certainly at TFO Canada, we've certainly seen a direct link for many of our developing country partners between obviously the significant drop in tourism, which has led to you know, less handicrafts being sold as well. And so and the other comment I would say is certainly on digital technologies, digital marketing, establishing online presence, e-commerce. That's been a key area of focus for us as we're working with our partners. So the three women on the panel today, as well as many others, which will then help to continue to have those linkages with the importing community as well. And so I would echo everybody's comments around the hopes that we will see an end to the pandemic soon. There's no doubt that the pandemic will end. It's just a matter of when. But together, you know, and thanks again to organizers such as the ATSC show here, we are finding creative ways to continue to engage and to have these important business linkages as well. So I'd like to thank again my panelists for a very interesting and engaging discussion. You know, it's always a pleasure working with you, and I thank you all for joining us at various time zones around the world. And of course, Jason, I'd like to thank you and your colleagues for organizing this important trade show this week. So I'll pass it over to you.
Thanks very much, Stephen. Thank you to all of our panelists. That was fantastic. Always good to see new faces and old ones as well from the past. So we always very much value our partnerships and having you all here today. The show is continuing until 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This will be it for the seminar series for this edition of ATS Virtual 2021. We look forward to hopefully seeing everybody, and I say again, in person next year. But if not, we'll continue to you know, bring these topics to light with our network of partners in the next virtual showing, if not in person. Again, the show is open until 5 p.m. today, so I encourage everybody to head over into the virtual landing page. I included that link in the chat in case you don't have that open, and that's a great place to connect with over 100 different exhibiting manufacturers. In that virtual landing page, you'll find the show office. It's a great place for matchmaking. It's a live hangout to network, connect with suppliers. The ATS staff will be in there as well. If you have any questions about finding a supplier, a particular supplier for a specific category or a different part of the world that you'd like to source in, we will certainly point you in the right direction. Also, be sure to check out our 3 pavilions, our virtual pavilions. Room 3 will be featuring our suppliers from China. Room 2 will be featuring our suppliers from India, and room 1 will be featuring suppliers from the United States, Canada, Portugal, Mongolia, Bangladesh, and Brazil. Lastly, I encourage everybody to click the link in the chat to visit our YouTube channel, the ATS YouTube page. There you can watch this panel, rewatch this panel, or any of the other ones that took place during this show. If you subscribe on YouTube or you are subscribed to the ATS newsletter, you will get notifications when those videos are posted. So again, thank you everybody here, and thank you to all of our attendees, partners, and colleagues. We look forward to seeing you next year, 2022.